My name is Shira. I am a 19-year-old student and aspiring writer, and I wrote a book in a month, and it's getting published. Well, a month and 2 weeks, but that's like the same thing. This is so weird to me still. How do people just like talk to themselves? You know what I mean? There's no one here. Except for you guys. Hi. That's so weird. Oh my gosh. Sorry. You're probably expecting me to talk about how organized and motivated I was throughout that very small time frame, but that would be a lie. Writing a book in a month definitely takes some sort of planning and dedication, but it was not at all as organized as I would have liked it to be. I didn't have some sort of strict writing schedule, and I didn't really force myself to get up at 7 in the morning and go to sleep super early so I could do the whole thing again the next day. But it was definitely a process. So a little introduction on myself. I've been writing since I was 8 years old. That was when I first started, making up stories, as most kids do. And I really took a liking to reading and obviously creating my own plots and stories. But I've never really successfully finished a book. Okay, I wrote a book once and finished it all the way through, but it was so bad. But this past year, with quarantine and COVID and everything, I decided to really dedicate myself to finishing a book, start to finish. And while I loved the fact that I was more motivated than usual, it was really tough. It was really difficult. Okay, back to the beginning. So this past November, I had decided to participate in NaNoWriMo again. I've done it a few times before, and for those who don't know what that is, NaNoWriMo stands for National Novel Writing Month, and it is a challenge of sorts to write 50,000 words in 30 days. I had done it once before, I think freshman year of high school, and succeeded, but that book was not it. So me and my friends decided to participate in this challenge this year. The thing is, finals for the fall semester usually all fall within the month of November. So as much as I wanted to write and as much as I was inspired to do so, I had to give up that GPA. So most of November went by. I believe I had 2 weeks left in the month of November, and I had started to just give up on the whole thing. It was around this time that I discovered the Lost Island Press writing competition. Lost Island Press, by the way, is a hybrid publishing house. It's a newer hybrid publishing house, started by Meltor Franca. She's a really amazing YouTuber, by the way. And the contest basically entailed writing a book, having a solid start, middle, and ending, and submitting it by the new year, which is December 31st, New Year's Eve. You get what I mean? So I was like, hey, that gives me a month and 2 weeks to write this novel. Because at that point, I had an outline, like a really solid outline. And my outlines are pretty thorough, I will admit that. But I had not written a single chapter. I think I had half a chapter done out of the 25 that I had planned originally. So it was kind of unrealistic. I mean, 25 chapters in a month and 2 weeks. Not really my greatest idea. But yeah, I decided to do it. And I did do it, crazily enough. And thus began my frantic race to write a book in the small amount of time that I had left. And it had to be good. Well, I hoped it would be good, I hope. I liked it. I enjoyed writing it. I would really love to say that writing this book in the time allotted was an inspiring process. But the reality of it was I was living off of 3 hours of sleep every single day. And I think I began to hallucinate at some point. I wouldn't wake up too early at all. I think like 9 a.m. was when I would usually wake up, and I'd start writing about an hour later. So I would write from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. nonstop. And surprisingly, that was my most productive period of the day. I'm more of a night owl usually. I prefer writing later into the night than earlier in the morning. But during this challenge, I noticed that I was most clear-headed when I first got up in the morning. Probably because I was only getting those 3 hours of sleep, but you know, let's just ignore that. Around 3, I would take a 1-hour break to have lunch and probably watch like an episode of Criminal Minds. But after that, it would be writing from 4 until 6 in the morning the next day. I'm not joking. That wasn't every night, of course, but that was happening an average of 3 times a week, where I would just be up from 10 in the morning until 6 a.m. the next morning, trying to pump out words. And as unhealthy and insane as that sounds, and I'm not saying that it's not, because like, please do not do this. Please. It was actually pretty manageable for the first 2 weeks. Like this pattern of not really sleeping, but constantly being in a state of writing, it wasn't horrible for the first 2 weeks. I was getting words out. I was progressing a lot, plot-wise and chapter-wise, and I wasn't pantsing it, the story, like I wasn't making it up as I went. I had a really solid outline, but yeah, it was not easy. And I'm not saying that I was able to pump out like 10,000 words a day with this crazy schedule, but I did get a solid minimum of 2,000 words a day, and those were on my bad days. So it did work for me. I would not do it again, but it worked. While it was not a very manageable schedule, I think I learned a lot about myself through the process, especially that if I committed myself to something, I could get it done and I could be successful. I think it was the last week before the deadline. It was the last week of December when I really started hitting that 10K mark a day. Like I would write 10,000 words a day. I know in the last night, like right before New Year's, I wrote 12,000 words in that day from 10 a.m. until 6 a.m. So New Year's came around and I submitted my manuscript to the Lost Island Press competition. And a month later, I found out that I won. So yeah, I'm getting my book published, which is crazy. I'm still not like, I haven't processed it fully yet. I'm getting my book published that I wrote in a month. Does it get crazier than that? I just don't know. Of course I love my story and I'm confident in my characters, but that's crazy to think about. What the heck? Like, other people liked it too? That's so crazy to me. And now I'm just thinking about the fact that people are gonna read it. That's so crazy. So yeah, if you're curious about the publishing process of said novel, stick around because I'll definitely be sharing more about that. Specifically the editing process that I am currently in, because there is a lot to edit. Now, I will clear some things up. While the actual writing process happened over the space of a month and a half, I did outline before, and it took me about three to 2 weeks to outline my novel. Keep in mind, this was also the part that I was stitching the story together. Other than that, I also had the idea for the novel for a pretty long while, so I was definitely familiar with the characters when it came to putting them down on paper. Would I recommend writing like this? No, absolutely not. While it was a learning experience for myself, and of course something really amazing came out of it, the actual process was not one that I would wish upon anyone else. I was tired, I was cranky, I was stressed, and while there were small bursts of happiness from like hitting milestones, like hitting 50,000 words and then hitting 60,000 words, and that was great and all, but I was exhausted. this experience has definitely showed me that I can be successful if I dedicate myself to something, which I hope you guys can also take away from this video. By the way, forgot I was doing that for a minute. There's a point to this. Yes, believe in yourself, because you can get it done if you really want to, but also don't pressure yourself too much. Please. If you somehow stuck around this long, hi, thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've never really been one for social platforms like YouTube, but trying it out has definitely been fun. I hope you all enjoyed this video and stick around for more about my novel and other writing videos and just other videos in general. I'm not really going to box myself into something. So yeah, stay tuned for a lot of things. Oh, also, if you guys have any questions at all, you guys feel free to leave them down below. I will be more than happy to answer anything about the writing process, my outlining process, or anything at all really. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye.